Anderson Cooper 360.
Well, we've been talking about the growing humanitarian crisis that the war in Iraq has created, forcing millions of Iraqis from their homes. Almost 2 million are in Iraq and homeless. Many others have fled to Arab countries. 1 million are in Syria. 750,000 are in Jordan. Somewhere between 80 and 130,000 are believed to be in Egypt, and 40,000 are in Lebanon. Only a few hundred are actually here in the United States. Now, before the break, we told you about the Bush administration's new plan to allow some 7,000 Iraqi refugees into the U.S. this year. People who helped the U.S., worked as interpreters, or who face real threats. The plan is facing fierce opposition from both sides of the aisle and sparking intense debate. I saw just how passionate people on either side of the issue are when I spoke with Republican Congressman Tom Tancredo of Colorado and Edna Lekovich of the Muslim Public Affairs Council earlier tonight. Congressman Tancredo, some of the Iraqis who are applying for refugee status, these are people who have risked their lives working for U.S. forces as translators, doing intelligence work as drivers. There are those who say, look, why shouldn't we help those?
I'll tell you one reason why we shouldn't. Not too long ago, we found out about a number of Iraqis here in the United States that had committed some other crimes. That is to say, they were aliens here, they committed a crime, they were tried, convicted, they are supposed to be deported under those kind of conditions. Come to find out, Iraq is a country, one of about 20, that refuses to accept their aliens back to their country after they've committed other crimes in the United States. I don't care what they've done in Iraq before. There is a law actually on the books today, Anderson, that says that if a country refuses to take back its aliens that have committed crimes in the United States, we should not give them any visas.
Do you know what about this? Congressman is saying, look, there's a law on the books which we're not supposed to allow Iraqis in if they're not willing to accept Iraqis who have committed crimes back into Iraq.
Well, look, that seems like a bit of political maneuvering and selective application of the law, given that the Iraqi people should not be standing there to pay the price for this type of selective application. What we're talking about is a humanitarian crisis on the scale that certain humanitarian organizations are saying could soon rival the crisis in Darfur.
Well, Congressman, if they did decide to change that law in Iraq, if Iraq did accept it, would you then be in favor of allowing some 7,000 Iraqi refugees into America?
I would be in favor of accepting those that can be actually identified as coming here under humanitarian conditions and as refugees. That policy we've already established. But I'll tell you that, you know, it isn't as if these people, first of all, are trapped in Iraq. That's another situation. Where they are today, for the most part, is not in Iraq. They have gone to other countries, and now we are thinking about and being pressured to take them from the countries where they are presently occupying.
Hold on there. With all due respect, Congressman, there are over 100,000 Iraqis who are fleeing Iraq each month, according to the UN. There are over 2 million refugees from Iraq, as well as 1.7 million internally displaced people. There is a huge crisis on our hands here. And right now, that burden is unfairly being shouldered by nations in the region, like Jordan and Syria, which haven't even signed on to the UN Convention on Refugees, and our own nation has.
What Eldina seems to be arguing is that there is a moral obligation, given that we went to war, that we take care of at least a certain number of the refugees this war has created. Do you believe that?
We have done that in the past, certainly in Vietnam and other places, and I understand that, and I'm telling you that we have a refugee policy. It is the most liberal in the world. There are no caps on it. I understand that. My complaint here and concern is with the Iraqi government today. The fact is we should use this as pressure to get them to accept back their people who have committed crimes when they're here.
What do you think should be done with that huge tide of refugees?
Well, what should be done with them is being done in the case of what we can do. That is to try and help construct an Iraqi government in which those people can feel safe to return to the country of origin. That is the real task here.
Eldina, I'll give you the last word.
Well, that's just a part of the picture. 7,000 is a very paltry number, and we can't forget the fact here that there are people involved. There are people whose lives have been devastated. We have promised that we would rescue them from malnutrition, from mayhem, from murder, and that is precisely what they are facing every day and why they are leaving the country in large droves. Congressman Tancredo is the same man who a few years ago said that we should consider taking out Mecca in order to send a message to the terrorists. So with all due respect, respect, this gentleman is not the man
You have no respect, ma'am, because if you would say a thing like
this
that.
type
That
of
is
policy
absolutely
and to
untrue.
preserve all human life.
That is absolutely untrue that I said we should take out Mecca in order to send a message.
Sir, you said we should consider it.
It was never to, quote, send a message, and that is an entirely inaccurate way of
Sir,
an inaccurate context for the discussion.
Did you say that we should consider taking out Mecca?
What I said was, do you want to fight that battle again? I'm happy to, but what I'm telling you is what you just said is not only inaccurate, but I think it's disingenuous.
Well, as always, we care about the facts on 360. We checked the transcript of Congressman Tancredo's interview with talk show host Pat Campbell. When asked how the country should respond if terrorists struck several U.S. cities with nuclear weapons, he said, quote, "If this happens in the United States and we determine that it is the result of extremist fundamentalist Muslims, you know you could take out their holy sites." Campbell said, "You're talking about bombing Mecca?" And Tancredo responded, "Yeah."